In 2006, a man walked into a police station and begged to be locked up. He said, "If you let me leave, something bad is going to happen." His name was Daniel Reeves, and he was terrified of his own mind. Welcome to Now It's Dark. Daniel had no criminal record, no history of violence. He just kept repeating the same thing. There's something else in here, and it's getting stronger. Police held him overnight thinking he was either under the influence or just delusional. The cell was cold, the lights flickered, every sound seemed too loud. The silence weighed heavy on his mind. Daniel paced back and forth, whispers leaking from his lips. Every time he sat, he jumped, as if he heard something others couldn't. The feeling of being watched, or something else in the room, made his heart race. 12 hours later, Daniel attacked another inmate with extreme, uncontrolled violence. It took 4 officers to pull him off. When it was over, he sat on the floor, shaking, tears streaming down his face, and whispered, "What did I do? You need to kill me. I'm not alone in here." Daniel's name triggered a flag. In a system most people don't even know exists. Within hours, federal agents arrived. The Men in Black. Silent, deadly, knowing. They didn't ask questions, they already knew the answers. Daniel was Subject 47 in a classified program called Project Lucid Shadow. The idea was simple, but terrifying. If you could enter the human subconscious, you could control the person. A facility was built deep in the woods. Volunteers were told it was a sleep study. In reality, they were tracked, altered, controlled. The military applications were vast. Soldiers without fear, without a moral compass. Perfect operatives. The truth about Project Lucid Shadow was definitely stranger than fiction and much scarier. Techniques learned from Project Echo Veil were used. Techniques like hypnosis, guided meditation, audio triggers, sleep interruption, repetitive signals. They used them along with drug cocktails combining altered LSD, MDMA, sodium amytal, and scopolamine. They were designed to weaken the barrier between the conscious and unconscious mind. Subjects often remembered dreams, but they were false memories planted to test reactions. Sometimes they couldn't distinguish memory from reality. Sometimes they couldn't trust themselves. They found something else, something unexpected. Not just second personalities, but something that could think, learn, and act on its own. They called them shadow selves. At first, the shadows followed orders, until they didn't. Some subjects broke completely. Jonas McKinley, Subject 14, set fire to the lab, killing 2 scientists. His body was found unconscious, 3 levels below. He had no memory of lighting the match. And that's not even the worst thing to happen. Another subject drove into a crowd of people, killing 3, injuring 10. He parked his car and waited for police, begging them to execute him. "It's still inside me. You have to kill me." During his interrogation, he provided no insight to what led to his actions, repeating the phrase, "We must do what they cannot." Of those who lost their lives that day was Preston Lewis, CEO of a tech company working on behavioral modification with parallels to Project Lucid Shadow. Subject 32, Thomas Montgomery, disappeared. Within 72 hours, 5 people were found dead, all connected to him, with no signs of forced entry, no motive, and no explanation. Subject 37, John Rutger, used his Marine training to build an explosive device in his van. He drove it to a parade in San Jose, The blast killed 13 people and injured 49. Of those killed in the blast was James Carmichael, a congressman who vehemently opposed what he called governmental overreach. Subject 26, William Billy Boyd, armored and heavily armed, walked into a pharmaceutical company. When it was over, 36 were dead, over 100 injured. The CEO, CFO, and chief scientist were all killed in the attack. Law enforcement finally stopped him. None of these attacks made sense, but there were other incidents that so defied reason they couldn't be comprehended. Subject 9, Emma Stern, drowned her children and attacked her husband. During interrogation, she repeated, "We must do what they cannot." She never gave a reason for the murders. Daniel, as well as several other subjects, witnessed small incidents as well. Shadows, taking objects, moving things, leaving messages they didn't remember writing. Every action seemed inconsequential until it built to chaos. The facility used predictive behavior models to identify who would break and how. They wanted perfect operatives, sleeper agents, people who could be activated remotely. No memory, no trace, no one would suspect a thing. Of 66 military personnel involved in Project Lucid Shadow, 48 deployed in combat, 29 received medals, 23 were involved in violent incidents ending in incarceration or death. Project Lucid Shadow was never about therapy, never about research. It was about control. Some subjects remained dormant for years. They experienced side effects like depression, hearing voices, and never feeling alone. They're activated with a simple statement: we must do what they cannot. Daniel Reeves was returned to the facility where he stayed until its closing when he was relocated to a black site. He lives in constant paranoia. Every shadow seems to move just out of sight. Every whisper in his head he cannot be sure is his own. The facility was shut down. Files were sealed, records erased. Officially, Project Lucid Shadow never existed, but people still snap, still hear voices, still do things they can't explain. The shadows are still out there, in the minds of those who think they're alone. So if you ever have a thought that doesn't feel like yours, ask yourself, who put it there? So what do you think? Completely invalid conspiracy theory, or absolutely sounds like something our government would do? Let me know in the comments. Comment absolutely if you believe this is something the government would do, or no way if you're convinced it's just another conspiracy theory. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, share with someone else who might like it, and subscribe if you want more stories like this. Thank you for watching. Now it's dark.